Welcome back to another episode of Creative Discipline with TheZachMichael. Today we're going to be talking about a mindset and a skill that I think is super important, especially for independent artists, but honestly for all musicians. And that skill is building your dream team, and why I believe that independent artists should skill stack and also work on assembling their own team of Avengers, right? Let's kind of break this down. Most independent artists who achieve success typically have some sort of a team. There are outliers, there are exceptions, and you can be successful all on your own. But from my experience, a lot of people have some sort of team players. What these Avengers look like kind of varies based on the independent artists and their skill sets and things like that. But essentially, let's start with defining what I believe a team of Avengers is, which is basically individual people who have complementary skills that align with your long-term goal and visions for your artistry, and they're willing to work with you collaboratively in creative and resourceful ways, right? That's super important. And we're also going to talk about skill stacking and why this is super important for independent artists. So let's start with skill stacking. What is skill stacking? Skill stacking is the developing of multiple abilities or learning skills that are needed, right? Instead of relying solely on external companies or services, you build some self-sufficiency and develop the skills and talents necessary to perform these things. This is super important for independent artists, especially early on in your career when you may not have a budget, right? You want to keep the cost down. And a lot of people don't really understand this. A big reason a lot of independent artists don't achieve success is because they believe that they need money to have all these good things. But in reality, if you skill stack and develop valuable skills, you'll still be able to find success without having to pay for these things, right? Skill stacking literally empowers you to not need to hire a lot of people, and it allows you to not need a massive team, but rather you can have a team of Avengers or a smaller, more curated group. When I'm talking about skill stacking for independent artists, here are some of the valuable skills that I believe you should learn. No, you don't have to be amazing at all of these skills, and no, they don't have to be your sole talent. Obviously, we want music probably to be one of the things you're the best at, but some of the skills that you should consider learning are graphic design, basic video editing, content creation. You know, if you're going to create your own music, maybe some semblance of music production or mixing and mastering, and marketing in the modern music business. And how can you learn these skills? There's a lot of free online resources. I have a bunch of free online resources on my website for people, elizabethrecords.net/blog. There's a ton of stuff there, and there's new ones uploaded all the time. There's also paid courses from a ton of people that you can purchase. There's a lot of YouTube videos that can be very helpful for learning these skills, and Googling things and being resourceful to learn these skills can be important. Or you can try to gain real world experience to learn these skills, whether that's asking questions directly to someone who works in the graphic design field or someone who has experience editing videos, etc., and really getting that first real world experience. That can be helpful, right? So that is skill stacking. But why should you build your own Avengers? I believe that having a team of passionate, like-minded individuals can help you propel your career in ways that are generally hard to achieve alone, right? The first reason for why I think you should have your own team of Avengers, people who believe in you, is affordable collaboration. Hiring people for every aspect of your music career is very expensive, right? So what I believe is that you should barter skills or value to people, right? If you're a producer and you need graphic design, find an artist who is good at graphic design who needs beats, and offer them beats in exchange for graphic design. If you're a singer and you want beats from a producer, offer the ability for the producer to release a song with your vocals on it, or work on something with that producer for them. Provide mutual value, right? If you're an artist who, can mix and master, maybe you can find someone to do a feature with, and you can mix and master their vocals on that song and maybe their EP, and that's how you get your feature, etc. You can barter skills or value. And if you learn Skills, the more skills you skill stack, the more things you have the ability to barter or exchange, right? Now, I do think it's worth mentioning that when I talk about affordable collaboration, the best way to do this, in my opinion and my experience, is to offer everybody a percentage of the royalties or future earnings, right? This creates a shared motivation for success and also allows you to think long term. I see a lot of independent artists afraid to give up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% of future earnings when you need to be thinking about what you're making right now, right? Like if a graphic designer makes a cover art for free for one of your songs and your songs are only getting 100 plays, giving the graphic designer 10% of that song is like $1 or less in royalties, right? And you want to create a team of Avengers that all are mutually motivated for success. So giving out percentages of royalties, future earnings, things like that can be crucial, especially if you can't afford upfront payments. Now, when you are building your team of Avengers, it's important that you have a team who sees the potential for growth and believes in you and your talent, right? You want a team that has long-term vision that is shared, because when you're building your team, you want to make a team that's going to stay with you for the long haul, even through challenges, right? For some independent artists, it may take years before you become successful. So you want people who see the long-term vision and are willing to build with you. And don't forget, as you get successful, who the people were who were willing to build with you before you were successful, right? The next benefit to building a team of Avengers is that you can get a group of people who have specialized skill sets, right? When you're building your team, you may want producers who understand your sound. You may want videographers and photographers who can capture your brand visually. Maybe someone who can help you on the marketing or social media side. Maybe someone on the mixing or mastering side who can help you make your music sound polished and sound high quality so it can compete against all these other songs. You want to find people who bring different strengths to the table, who provide different value, and you got to think about how you can provide value to them, right? That is super important. The other benefit I like about having a team is that you now have new people to spark ideas off of, and it can also push you to new heights you didn't realize, right? Your team can offer input, your team can help with ideas, your team can help increase your output of productivity, etc. There's a lot of things that can happen when you have a team if everybody's on the same page and is providing value and all of that. There's just a lot of room for creative synergy. And the last thing I like about independent artists is that you get to maintain your independence, right? When you get to build your own team, you're not really reliant on external companies or expensive service providers. You maintain control over who is on your team and how the business is done, and that allows you to move quickly, take more risks, and maintain creative control. When you talk to artists who are signed to major record labels and big record companies, a lot of them do not have that independence anymore. That's part of what you give up when the label takes a chance on you, right? Typically, you're giving up a lot of that control to the label. And for some artists, that's great. But if you want to succeed as an independent artist, you likely want to have the ability to maintain creative control and maintain that independence in your decision making, both in your music and in your business. And that's super important. How to build your team, though, because that's the next point. A lot of people want a team and they don't know how to build it. All right. Here's the first thing. You got to identify your needs. You got to make a list of areas where you need support in your career. What are the things that you don't believe you could learn? Even if you skill stacked, it would take a very long time, or maybe you're not able to, or you're not interested to, etc. There's a lot of factors here, but make a list of the areas where you need support, whether that's production, promotion, visuals, mixing, whatever. It could be a lot of different things. And once you've done that, you want to try to prioritize the roles that will have the most immediate impact on your career. Now, it is worth mentioning that early on, you're going to have to do a lot of roles that you do not want to do. So if you are not willing to promote your stuff, it is unlikely that you will find someone who is willing to promote your stuff for you. You have to be willing to do all of these roles, but recognize that there may be someone who can help you even more and do more than what you can, better than you can, and you need to incentivize that person to want to be on your team, right? But once you've identified your needs, the next thing you got to try to do is leverage your network, right? You got to reach out to friends, other artists in your local area or collaborators you've worked with before. Try to find talent within your existing connections. A lot of people, when they're building their team, always feel like they need to find new people. And don't get me wrong, finding new people can be valuable, but you might already have some people in your phone book who are willing to give that chance and help you, you know? But let's say you're just starting out and you have no established network, you don't really know anybody. Public forums, social media, and online communities can be invaluable tools for connecting with other people, right? You want to try to start connecting with people who are at a similar stage in their career to you, or even slightly smaller in terms of reach or experience. You might want to go for people who have, you know, less experience or who have less, you know, clout or social media following, things like that. You want to go for people who are at a similar stage or below you. And then your goal needs to be to just provide genuine value to these people, right? Before you reach out to these people to ask them to, you know, start building that relationship, to maybe put them on the team, you really need to ask yourself, does this collaboration make sense for both parties, or does it only benefit me? If you really want to succeed in building a team and leveraging your network, you need to make collaborations that make more sense for the other party than they do for you. You want to provide so much value that you are impossible to ignore, right? And all successful relationships are basically built on mutual value. So you want to create opportunities that are rewarding for everybody involved. And if you can approach every single person that you want to put on your team with this mindset and be genuine in the putting yourself in their shoes and recognizing that, you know, the collaboration makes sense for them so much, you will likely be able to build a team much faster. A lot of people struggle with building their team because they can't put themselves in the shoes of the person they're asking to join their team. The value just doesn't make sense for the other party. But a lot of independent artists feel slighted when a graphic designer doesn't jump to work on their projects. And it's because there's no value for them in doing that. You need to create value for them. And if you can do that, you'll be very successful. But and on top of that, when you reach out to people to, you know, propose these collaborations and propose this team stuff, you really need to be transparent about the expectations, right? You need to be very clear about what you can offer in return, whether it's bartering some of your other skills, whether it's ownership percentages, or long-term collaboration opportunities, right? Because at the end of the day, most people are looking for long-term relationships that they can work with for a very long time. So if you can bring somebody repeat business or repeat value, they are more likely to want to work with you long-term, right? But also when it comes to building a team, there's more to it than just people who are like really good at a skill, right? There's a lot of people who are really dope at a skill, but you also need to think about people who are passionate about your music and share your vision. And are they compatible with you and your goals? Like, can you guys get along? Can you guys work together long term? Compatibility really matters just as much, if not more, than skill, because you need a team that believes in your goals and they want to grow with you, etc. You know? And the last thing that I think is important to when you build a team is you need to start investing in these relationships. You need to treat your team with respect and gratitude. You need to celebrate successes together, make sure everyone feels valued and appreciated. Let everybody know that, you know, you're appreciative of their support and all the work they're putting in, and recognize that a motivated team is more likely to stick around and contribute their best work and really take things to the next level. That's super important, right? But as an independent artist, building a team of Avengers is one of the smartest moves you can make. By learning to skill stack and trading value and working with people who believe in your long-term potential, you can overcome almost all issues that independent artists really believe they have. You can maintain creative control, and you can set yourself up and set your team up for lasting success.